We just got the July CPI numbers, and I don't think I could have picked a more disastrous outcome. And I mean that sincerely. I believe this CPI report for July is a disaster. So we're going to go over the numbers. We're going to go over why I think it's a disaster and what might happen from here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I just want to bring everybody up to speed on my thoughts about inflation, and then we will get into the numbers. One, I believe inflation is the most regressive tax that we have. I believe inflation at its core, once it's anchored, is very hard to beat. I believe the market, Wall Street, whatever, the stock traders are focused on headline. I believe they will take today's numbers and buy the dip, rip, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be really good for NASDAQ, really good for meme stocks, whatever you want. If you are in those positions, I think you're going to get an opportunity to sell at higher prices. Congratulations. Core. Core is what the Fed looks at. Again, I think the core reading could not have been worse. So let's get into this. So again, CPI last month for July headline was 9.1. You heard me do a live stream yesterday that I expected it to go down. I expected it to go down faster than what was expected, which was 8.7. I thought maybe 8.3, so not my number, right? Didn't quite make it there, but headline came in at 8.5. 8.5. So what are we going to hear today? Just like we talked about yesterday, we are going to hear everyone scream peak inflation. Kathy Wood is going to come out and say things like, see, I told you. All of these folks, we're going to talk about bullwhip and supply chains and deflation, and the Fed has got to pivot in September. I can't believe we are going to hear people talk like that, but they're going to do that today and tomorrow and the next day. So yes, headline came down. Gas by itself came down, what was it, 7%? 7.7%, airfare 7.8, things of that nature. Car, truck rentals down 9. So again, 8.5%. But as I talked about yesterday, I wanted to focus on core. I thought core would go up. I thought core could easily go up to 6.2 or 6.3. It actually did not go up. It stayed flat. It stayed flat with last month, which was 5.9%. Now, let's talk about this. What's inside core that's not inside headline? Remember, headline is energy and food. Very volatile numbers. I think all of us who have gas-powered cars have seen gasoline come down. We have seen commodities come down. We've had both of our stock guys, Dan on Sunday and Taylor on Mondays, talk about commodities. Okay. But core, rent equivalent, it is still going up. It is still going up, but it is still not reporting an accurate number. Rent or rent equivalent was up 6.3%. Rent is about 30 some odd percent of core. And I don't know about you, but does anybody think that rent is only up 6%? It's not. If you correct for that error, like we have done many times, it's a point or a point and a half higher. Now, why are these numbers a disaster? Quite simply, it means the Fed can do nothing in August. Let's talk about that. I had thought, hey, as we talked about with Dan Bird on Sunday, if headline came in hot, I think we talked about 9.3 or above, that we would get an interrate meeting in August, probably at the Jackson Hole event. Well, we got 8.5. That's not coming. We talked about if core surprised to the upside, maybe like 6.3, we could get an intermeeting rate hike. With these numbers, zero chance of an August surprise. That means we get to listen to the stock market and all of these folks talk about peak inflation. You're going to get lower rates. I haven't checked this morning. I talked with Matt, the mortgage guy, later. I'm going to guess that mortgage rates are down. We are going to see risk on. You probably are going to see cryptocurrencies up. You are going to see cash flow negative companies up. The Fed is going to be lulled into a sense of doing nothing. The Fed is going to feel like what they have done is working. Folks, we still have core inflation at almost 6% and getting worse, right? When you look at the components. I fear that the Fed taking an August pause means we are going to revisit 6 or 8 weeks of risk on, which again, hey, if you're a trader, maybe that's a good thing. Hey, let's go trade some meme stocks. Let's go trade some tech stocks that make no money and we'll sell before the next meeting. Hey, if you're a trader, congratulations. But if you're somebody who cares about inflation, Fed inactivity is horrible. We are going to get it's going to build. Wage inflation is getting worse. Rent inflation is getting worse. And Fed's inactivity will lower rates. It could spark more home purchases. If rates go low enough, we could start refinancing. This is not what we need. It's not. It might feel good, but all of that, I don't know, animalistic spirits, capitalism at its core, could rejuvenate inflation and cause bigger problems later. This is what we learned in the 70s. You can't take the first whiff of good news and pause. You have to break the back of inflation. Plus, let's not forget, headline inflation, volatile. Energy and food. Does anybody watching this video think that energy and food will not go up in the winter? Serious question. Seriously, do we not think that what is going on in Europe could potentially ripple here and oil and energy and natural gas is higher? I think, again, these numbers are a disaster. It gives Wall Street everything they wanted, peak inflation. You and I are still suffering because core didn't go down. And the Fed pauses, doesn't do anything. The Fed, if you watch my channel, I want the Fed to kick Wall Street in the nuts because Wall Street has to come down. If we want to get inflation whipped, we can't have S&P 500 at 5,000 or whatever it's going to be. It'll just entrench inflation even worse, and the Fed will have to do more. Yeah, I would have loved core at 6.3, so maybe we get that Fed rate. I want the Fed to do more. The Fed does not need an excuse to do less. This gives the Fed excuses to do less. Now for the next 6 weeks, you and I get to hear about peak inflation. Oh, the Fed's going to pause in September. No, they're not. The Fed can't pause in September with core at 5.9, but that doesn't mean people aren't going to talk about it. So I really do think these numbers were a disaster. I think it's going to reward the wrong behavior. I think it's going to allow inflation to get further entrenched, and it's just going to mean more pain later. I didn't like anything in these numbers. Core is still going up. Rents are still going up. Rents are still underreported. Wages are going up. We have productivity down. Okay, great. Gas is down, so headlines down. Just a big old head fake. Let me know what you think below. I'd love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day. I needed to get this off my chest. We will do the daily financial news at 7:30 Pacific right here. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.